Maybe you clicked on this video because you've got your first rise garden and you want to get some ideas on what to grow, or maybe you already have and love one of these things as I do, and you're just looking for some ideas on what to plant in at this time. Because there are a lot of different things you can plant, and I am planting a smorgasbord of different things. It may go horribly wrong, it may not. We'll have to see what happens. So let's get this bad boy back up and running and growing, because it is very, very cold outside and I need to grow me some food. All right, so there we have it. It is all ready to be replanted. I am also going to be doing some stuff with some kratky very soon, so stay tuned for that. I have stripped this thing down. There's no tubing in it right now. I have all the bits. I did a complete cleaning. So I got some new tubing and we're going to be putting that in. I just got it on Amazon. I'll put a link below to the one that I got. And it is spick and span clean and ready to grow. Let's take a look at what I am planting. So I have some juicy gemstones. I got these from Moonglow Gardens. So I love Moonglow Gardens because they're Canadian, so obviously I'm going to support them. But on top of that, they have loads of the micro-dwarf tomatoes, which if you haven't tried growing those in your arrow gardens or rise gardens or whatever, you need to get some of those. They are fantastic. They are super, super tiny. I don't have any that I'm going to be putting in this one when I reseed it right now, but I will be doing a whole video in the future just on micro dwarfs and all the varieties that I like, and there are so many out there. So go ahead and check them out and get yourself some micro dwarf tomatoes. You need micro dwarfs. You may not think you do, but you do. So go check them out and grab some. All right, so these juicy gemstones are actually a mix. They are alpine and summer bearing strawberries, so we will see what we get. I also got some of these newer ever-bearing strawberries from Rise. We'll try that. So we'll probably be 2 and 2. Then I will be doing some summertime, some cilantro, forest green parsley, because I use a lot of this when I make my Italian wedding soup. And I have some lettuce from West Coast Seeds. I already have one set up here in my nursery, and this is a butter crunch lettuce. We're going to be doing my husband's favorite round tropea onions. It's my first time trying these hydroponically, so we will see how they do because they are a bulbing onion. But you know, you gotta try things. We have some scallions, and then these ones are so cool. I just love the way these look, these red beards. So we'll see if they actually end up being that red. Hopefully they do, because that just looks awesome. Well, that is going to be the top of the rise. When we go down below, this is where things get exciting. I am going to be trying these mini pumpkins from Rise. I'm just going to do one. At the back, I'm going to do some of the cucumbers. Set up my trellis. I'm sure this will escalate and end up somewhere up there as well, but for now, we'll pretend they're going to behave and we'll put them there. I also got some gochujang peppers, which I'm so excited to try, and then jalapenos because we use a lot of those. I got some of these Fresno peppers from Vessie's. We are going to try from Rose 7 Seeds, this sweet garlic. So I haven't tried growing this one yet, but we'll see how it turns out. So as I'm always reminding you guys, remember, do not plant all the holes. Things will get bigger, things will grow, things will spread. Your plants are going to need air circulation, and you just don't want it getting super crowded. So leave some space. Before we can get growing, I need to get this tubing in. Now, originally when it was set up, there was this piece that kind of connected 2 pieces of the tubing. So the tubing didn't go all the way from down where the pump and the water reservoir is up to the top. I always found this a pain in the butt. A, for cleaning, B, also because when I would be trying to pull the tube out, it would get caught. Not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm going to try and run one continuous piece of tubing, and we will see how that goes. But I have to go get something to cut this with. Let's put that there, and then let's see how we do with this. Oh yeah, perfect. That cut through it just fine. Now, at the top, there was the piece that comes out that puts the water in. So I'm going to cut one piece for that. And then the thing I noticed was that it was cut on an angle. the one that was in there. So that's curving that way. I don't know if it matters, but I just kind of cut that on an angle. So trying to get this back in, and it's not going all the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this into the bathroom and heat up the tubing a little bit under the hot water and see if I can squeeze it in a bit better, make it easier. That's where my bucket's going to be. It's full of all the bits I was cleaning, so I have to empty that out. I have a replacement pump in there because the unit that I have is like one of the OG ones, and the pump died, and they sent me this replacement, which was great. That is going to sit down there. I think I've got a long enough cord here, and I'm going to feed it down and we'll see where we end up. All right, we just got hung up on something. Add you guys in so you can witness my struggles. There's the tube, and then we'll continue feeding that through. And then, haha, good. It fits. Now I'm going to try and squeeze that one on. Oh my goodness, seriously, guys. If you don't need to change these, don't. Hopefully that's okay. All right, connected. So that is all nestled in there. And if you guys have ever struggled with fungus gnats, I've got a trick that I use. And if you haven't, then you're so lucky. And you may still want to use this so that you don't ever know the pain of dealing with fungus gnats, which is summarized by this little funny picture I found online. And use these guys. So these mosquito dunks, I'll put a link to them down below. They're supposed to go in like ponds and stuff, but they work. And they're supposed to also help with thrips and controlling those. And I'm just going to take one of these dunks and throw it into the reservoir, and then hopefully not deal with any problems. Okay, and just throw it in. It's a pretty easy insurance policy. Getting rid of fungus gnats is way freaking harder, and thrips, than preventing them in the first place. I get a lot of questions about what water I use. For me, on the smaller systems, I do use distilled water, but honestly, in the big rise, I just don't. I use tap water. But it's important to know your water. If you have hard water, you don't want to be using it in one of these systems. If you have a water softener, you don't want to be using it in one of these systems. And one of the most important things is testing your water and the nutrient solution. I'm not going to get into it in this video because I want to do a dedicated video just on water testing because it is so important. A lot of the units, when you get them, especially the basic AeroGardens and stuff like that, they don't really mention it or tell you how to do it. So if you're not doing it, you should. And if you are doing it, thumbs up. So I need to fill this up and get it started, and then we will get the seeds put into the nurseries. I love starting a new system. It is so exciting. It's all the possibilities. It's before you've run into any frustrations or issues that may occur. I mean, even if you do it, it's still worth it. But the start of a brand new system is like chef's kiss. So I'm just pouring it in from the top level. One thing I'll mention is, especially because I just redid the tubing, I am not going to fill this all the way up. I just want to fill it enough so that my pump down there will be covered. And then I'm going to turn it on and run it just to make sure there are no leaks, because I don't want to fill up this entire thing and then find out I have an issue. So the last of the water is trickling down there. Yield pump is submerged. Now to plug it in and see if anything springs a leak. Yay, we have water circulating. Awesome. Having a quick look. Everything looks good. Pump is going. We have our little mosquito dunk in there. I have my little nurseries, and these are important because when they're filled up, they just have the plain water in. We're going to put the cover on top, and it just reminds us to change out the water every 7 days. But essentially what this is going to do is this is acting as a humidity dome, and it will increase the chance of us having good germination. Because I am restarting this entire system, and because I only have 2 of the nurseries and I am planting way more than that, for some of the other crops, the bigger crops, I am just going to go get some of my little mason jars downstairs and put them over those and just leave them in place. And I'm not going to put any nutrients in here, so it'll be acting pretty much the same as it's doing in the nurseries. And then once everything is germinated, then I will start putting in the nutrients and go from there. If you already have the system started, then make sure you are using these, and then make sure when you're doing these, you're going to leave them up on the top level because it's closer to the lights and you don't want your seedlings getting leggy. The other reason I'm doing it like that too is because I don't have enough covers to cover all of the holes, even if I had enough of the nurseries. So I will cover them strategically and start certain ones in place. Get this all covered up. Because remember guys, anytime you have a hole that you are not using, you want to make sure that you are covering it. And the reason for that is because in a hydroponic environment, we have light, we have nutrients, and we have water. And that, my friends, is a recipe for algae. So by taking the light out of the equation and only having the nutrients and water, you reduce the chance of getting the algae. So keep any open holes covered and reduce, so you can reduce the amount of light. And that's why these guys have these foil covers on, and you just put a hole in the center. That's again to reduce the light that's getting in there so you have less algae. So don't go taking the foil off. Plus it has a little sticker on it that tells you what it is, which makes it helpful. And then for the ones where I'm using my own seeds, I picked up one of my favorite seedless pods. Same thing with the indoorgarden, I use their Grow Anything pods because I like to use my own seeds. Now, I do get some of the ones that are made by each of the companies, so I can kind of share with you guys how they grow, and because not everybody has a ridiculous seed stash like I do. So we have a mix of the both. But anyways, these are great seedless pods. You get 12 in a pack, and that's what I will use for all of those guys over there, and for the sweet garlic, and for the Fresno peppers and the strawberries. All right, so I had the lettuce in there. I'm gonna grab one of these thymes. I find when I put them in, I like to twist them and push them down. It seems to work well for me, so we'll get that guy in there. And in here we'll also throw some of these ever-bearing strawberries. We'll do some of the parsley, and then I have one more nursery. So I think the pumpkins and the cucumbers I'll just grow in place and use the mason jars. Maybe same for those peppers. And then I can do the cilantro in there. I don't know. I'll get this figured out and show you guys. So one of the things I just want to mention with the cilantro is if you've struggled to get it to germinate, that's because what you would consider the seed is actually a seed pod. And there are 2 seeds in there, so it can help to crack them open. The nice thing, here, let me get this undone, and I've just taken the foil off, and obviously Rise knows this because they have already cracked them open for you, so that's going to help increase your chances of germination. So if you're growing it outdoors or you have your own seeds, just gently press them. I'll put a link up above to my short that I did on that. That will hopefully help you get better germination. And now we do need some light, so I'm just going to carefully go ahead and open these up so that the light can get in. And then we will just fill these with plain water, put the lids on, and wait for them to start growing. Let's get that filled up. All right. And that's one done. I am just going to finish getting all of these put in, and then I'll show you guys where we are. Okay, so I went and got all my mason jars, and I've got all the seedless pods in. I was one cover short, so I MacGyvered that. Because the seedless pods do not have any foil on, you can either use aluminum foil, or I have some little covers that were 3D printed that will actually go on. At some point, I'd like to have something like this in my own Etsy shop. So, and the cool thing about these ones is they get incrementally bigger, so as your plants go, you can kind of change them out, and you can see that hole is like a little bit bigger. But now we need to get seeds in. So these are those juicy gemstone strawberry seeds, so I'm just going to put a few in each one. It may get a little bit out of control if some of these are the ones that put out runners versus the alpines don't. But anyways, we'll try, see what happens. Hopefully get a few strawberries. So those are in. And then we will just invert those mason jars, and they will work just fine as little nurseries for these guys. Oh, and actually, I did that and I forgot to put the covers on. So let's put the covers on. And now, invert them. All right, good enough. Perfect. And I will keep going on all the rest. So these ones are pelleted seeds. Don't really need them for indoors, but for outdoors, you can just make it easier to see. Okay, so there you can see the difference between pelleted and non-pelleted for lettuce seeds. Big difference. So there's the 2 pelleted seeds, and then we'll cover it up. So for the redbeard, I'm going to put in a few seeds for a couple of reasons. One, because these are scallions, so I want to have a few anyways, plus these seeds are not super fresh. They're 2023, and now seeds can last a long time, but onion seeds are not known for lasting a long time. So I'm going to do, probably if these were fresh, I would do like 4 or 5, but I'm probably going to do more than that just in case these don't germinate, and then if there's a whole bunch in there, I'll just pull them early. That is the top level done, and now we've got just a few to do down here. The sweet garlic and the peppers, and then the cucumbers and the pumpkins. I'm super excited for the pumpkins. So we'll do the cucumbers first. Like I said, I kind of twist and then gently push them down. Get that opened up. Pop the lid on. And then mini pumpkins. These are going to be so cute. Some of these feel like they have an edge on them, and other ones slide in so much easier. Just want to get it down because I want to make sure it's in contact. And then cover that. I've got my rise stand there. I am going to be starting the Fresno pepper in place, but I'm not going to go ahead and put this on right now. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to put my humidity dome on. So once the seeds have germinated, I'll move this off and I'll just slide this underneath. Now, anytime I'm doing peppers or tomatoes, I am always going to put in 2 seeds. Once they germinate, I'm going to take out the plant that looks the least strong, but just so that you're not falling behind, I always do 2. And then for these ones, the sweet garlic, because they are essentially a leek, I'm not going to do too many because they get big, but I don't know, we'll put a few in. I ran out of the little ones, so this is not ideal, but we will go with what we have. So I will be doing update videos on this as it grows. So if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm posting videos. And if you're looking for some ideas to grow on the shorter deck or in a narrow garden or something like that, you can go and check out this video that I did on some dwarf plants that I love.